You're watching To The Point. I'm Nabila Jamal. In Karnataka, netas there seen blatantly flouting COVID norms in place. They almost become potential super spreader events. While DK Shivakumar continues with his mega Padayatra, two more BJP leaders were seen in public flouting COVID norms. Do these norms only apply for the common man and not for netas, is the question.
Thousands of Congress workers marching in Karnataka. In the same state, BJP netas also ignoring all COVID norms. In UP, election season trumps COVID season. In every part of the country, there is at least one instance of a neta ignoring all COVID norms and holding mega super spreader events. And mind you, it isn't limited to one political party. On your screens is the footage of the Congress's 10-day Padayatra in Karnataka. That's right, it is a 10-day protest where thousands of workers have gathered and the party isn't willing to shorten it even by a day amid the surging third wave. Shivakumar has refused to get tested.
You have come with respect.
He has refused to call off his protest.
They are looking at politics. They want politics. See, whoever gets a negative in the international, who comes from the flight, they come with a negative certificate. As soon as they enter Karnataka, they become positive. Come, let me see. See where the Padayatra is going on. Not even a single patient is in the ICU. Not even a single death has taken place.
And while the BJP has gone all guns blazing against Shivakumar, but it's a case of the pot calling the kettle black. Here's why. This is the BJP MLA Renukacharya taking part in a local festival in his constituency of Honali, and hundreds came together for the event. Renukacharya did not seem to care that nobody around him was wearing a mask or that there was no social distancing.
ಬರೀ 30 ಜನ ಇದ್ರಾ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಜನ ಬರೀ 30-40 ಜನ ಇದ್ರಾ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಾವಿರ ಜನ ಇದ್ರು ನಾನು ಅದ್ರ ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಹೋಗುದಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾಕೆ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಈಗೆಲ್ಲ ಲೀಡ್ಗಳು ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ಲೀಡ್ಗಳು ನೆನೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಓಡಾಟ ಅವ್ರದೇನೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆನೂ ಇದನ್ನ.
After this attack from the Congress, Renukacharya apologized and admitted to being reckless. And then there was this, the birthday bash for former BJP minister and mining baron Janardhan Reddy. A huge crowd gathered to wish the neta as he visited the temple. These incidents are not just limited to Karnataka. It's election season in Uttar Pradesh and the season for mega rallies. While political parties have stopped their mega campaigns and moved digital, here is a leader Imran Masood holding a show of strength with his supporters. While the general public do their bit to tide over the third wave, our netas continue to let us down as their own political agenda takes precedence over lives. Bureau Report, India Today.
And that just leads us to believe that none of the netas that we see across political lines want to lead by example. They want to impose restrictions to limit public from stepping out and contributing to the rise in numbers, but they themselves refuse to adhere to COVID protocols. And that's what's unfortunate. What we see in Karnataka is highly condemnable. Brijesh Kalappa joining us, spokesperson of the Congress party. Brijesh, here what we see of DK Shivakumar, where he's openly defying COVID protocols. He's openly said to the media that he will not get a COVID test done because he is not compelled to do so. And today we have two senior Congress leaders. You have Revanna as well as CM Ibrahim, both of them who've tested positive for COVID. They've met, hobnobbed with DK Shivakumar just a day before the rally kicked off. Revanna was there on the first day, the inaugural day of the Padayatra. Even now, DK is adamant that he will not get a COVID test. What message is he trying to send out?
See, Nabila, I think this is the first time that this is not the first time that Mr. Shivakumar has, been alleged to have, suffered COVID and so on and so forth. First is that he had already had COVID. He knows what the symptoms are. There are no symptoms. He doesn't suffer any symptoms. when he doesn't suffer any symptoms, where is the need to get a COVID test? We all know that, these tests cost a lot of money. First is that when somebody was sent to test Mr. Shivakumar, that person himself tested positive for COVID 2 hours later. So what kind of an intent was there by the government to have sent such a person? This is the first thing. Second thing is that there are no FIRs lodged against anybody who belongs to the BJP, whether it's Renukacharya, whether it's Subhash Gutedar, whether it's Janardhan Reddy. But Congress leaders are picked and chosen to have FIRs lodged against him. So naturally, I think this begs the question that why is the BJP so rattled? Because ultimately this is a march for water, and everybody realizes, including you who hail from Bengaluru, that Bengaluru is a water-parched city, and that this Bengaluru could do with some water. We are not kind of walking for a personal benefit or something. We have also invited the BJP to participate. We have also invited the JDS to participate. If they don't want to participate, we have gone ahead with the Padayatra. Why are they getting rattled?
Mr. Kanakapura, it's not about the intent of the protest. Your intention may be great, but you mentioned Bengaluru. We know Bengaluru needs drinking water. It's suffering from the lack of drinking water. Your intention may be great, but you just made DK Shivakumar here sound like a superhuman, like Superman. That he's had COVID a couple of times. He does not have symptoms. He will not get symptoms. He will never get COVID. He can be a carrier. He can most definitely be a carrier. He's endangering the lives of many of them who the entire Padayatra is moving right from Mekedatu all the way to Bengaluru. On the way, you're encountering many villages and many villagers. You're communicating with them, interacting with them. In one instance, he's met with school children, young kids, without a mask. He's interacting with them, and none of the kids are also wearing masks. He's encouraging this kind of recklessness amid a pandemic.
See, Nabila, whether I don't know on what account you're only targeting Mr. Shivakumar, because I've never seen the Prime Minister also wear a mask. For the last 7-8 months, I've been seeing him on his public appearances. He doesn't wear a mask. There are several leaders who don't wear a mask. And Mr. Shivakumar and the Prime Minister possibly have similar views in regard to COVID, because, for this reason, they probably don't wear a mask. But that doesn't mean that without symptoms, you go and test somebody. Why does the government pick on Mr. Shivakumar for a test? This is the question. And why do they send somebody who's already infected to go and test Mr. Shivakumar?
How did you know that the government sent a man who is COVID positive to get him tested? How did you find that out?
Exactly. No, exactly. The point was they wanted to infect him. That is the point I'm trying to make.
So your allegation is that the Bombay government sent a person who was COVID positive to go and get a test from DK Shivakumar so that they can infect him.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yesterday you may have seen news reports that the person who went to test Mr. Shivakumar himself turned positive 2 hours later. That couldn't have been because of Mr. Shivakumar, because it takes 3-4 days for a person to be infected. If Mr.
Not too sure if that is true, but if that is, of course, that's not right. But you're saying that he tested positive 2 hours after he met with DK Shivakumar. How did you find out he was positive? All right, keeping that aside, your allegation that we are targeting DK Shivakumar, most definitely not. We're waiting for Vivek Reddy, BJP spokesperson, to come in on that. Of course, there are questions to be asked as well. We saw visuals, if I can show it to our viewers before our BJP spokesperson is patched. You had Janardhan Reddy, massive birthday bash that he had organized, where he had people from all over coming in, huge crowds, barely any social distancing. He's wearing a mask, but the rest many aren't. You have Renukacharya, BJP MLA, on the other hand, a massive religious procession in Honnalli that he had carried out. For BJP, it appears that their own norms, restrictions, regulations do not matter. Their own leaders have been blatantly flouting it. In Uttar Pradesh as well, we saw a similar scenario. How is it fair that there's so much stress and direction for the common man to follow protocols, but netas do not come under that limitation at all? They don't come in that, they're not controlled, they're not punished. There's absolutely no... In fact, a commoner is found without wearing a mask, you have a fine of 2,000 rupees that's imposed in cities like Delhi and Mumbai. And here you have netas, DK Shivakumar, not wanting to wear a mask. He almost refuses to, Mr. Kalapa.
Exactly what I'm saying, Nabila. There are certain people who have certain views. Mr. Shivakumar has a certain view. Prime Minister Modi has a certain view. Have you seen Mr. Modi wearing a mask? He doesn't wear a mask. I've not seen him wearing mask for the last 7 to 8 months.
He's worn masks.
So there are people who have.
He's worn masks on many platforms, on most platforms. In fact, you may have caught him in a couple of platforms without one, but on most platforms he's wearing a mask.
I've never seen him with a mask for the last 7, 8 months, but that's besides the point. You see, ultimately, the media doesn't want to ask questions.
No,
to the Prime
we have
Minister,
seen a mask. That's a different debate altogether. But I'm asking you just one question, Mr. Kalappa. In Uttar Pradesh, the Congress party has decided to call off any kind of rallies in wake of COVID pandemic, in wake of rising cases. But your same Congress party has a different ruling in Karnataka. Don't you have internal communication within your own party? Isn't there a direction that's gone to all your party members?
Nabila, a rally
how is it different? It's still a congregation of people.
No, I'm sorry. Padayatra is when you walk. And people don't have to congregate. There is no congregation. There are no public meetings.
Are you really saying there are no halts? You all are stopping at different intersections? You all are gathering? There are meetings that are taking place at different spots?
No gatherings. No gatherings.
One such example is on our screens right here, where DK Shivakumar visited one of the village along the lines of the Padayatra. He's met with students of a school.
Yeah, no, that may have been, something which happened spontaneously. But I can tell you that there are no public gatherings. We had clearly undertaken that there would be no public gatherings, and there are no public gatherings. Of course, this may have occurred spontaneously. I'm not denying that he did meet school children, but
25,000 people assembled at Mekedatu when you flagged off the event. That was the start of your congregation, and that will go on for the next 8 days. And that's very hard for me to believe that it's not going to be otherwise. Mr. Kalappa, stay with us. I finally have Vivek Reddy, spokesperson of the BJP, joining us. Vivek, as much as we blame the Congress, your own party MLAs, Renukacharya and Janardhan Reddy, both of them blatantly flouting COVID norms, massive show of support. Janardhan Reddy for his birthday bash, Renukacharya for a religious procession. Aren't they under the ambit of rules and laws that you have imposed?
Well, our stand is the same, Nabila. Whether it is the Congress party or the BJP, action must be taken. First of all, I wonder what Mr. Brijesh Kadapa is saying. I wonder whether he knows the dictionary meaning of what is gathering. Whether people move from one place to other or whether people congregate in one place, it is the same. It is a gathering and it is prohibited. It cannot be conducted. And there is all right,
I'm going to try and patch Vivek there. If I can ask my... Yeah, please do check on Vivek's connection. But Mr. Kalappa, a definition there, a dictionary definition of congregation, what Reddy is targeting you with. Do you want to explain? You have people in large numbers who are gathering there. Besides that, you have two leaders who have tested positive. Now, if you can give me an understanding, has Congress party decided that you all are going to get tested? The people who are there, part of the Padayatra, who have come in contact with Revanna and with CM Ibrahim, they are supposed to be getting themselves tested. Are you all going to be doing that?
No, they are going to get themselves tested. As far as Mr. CM Ibrahim is concerned, he had contracted COVID 2 days ago. As far as Mr. Revanna is concerned, we are collecting the details. But to the best of our information, he has not contracted it from the Padayatra. And so far, from what we know, and that's from what we have heard from his family members. And as far as Mr. CM Ibrahim is concerned, he had already had COVID 2 days ago.
Well, here DK Shivakumar, it comes down to DK Shivakumar himself refusing a COVID test. But now with two of his senior leaders who he's met with in the last 2 days, will DK now get tested? That's the crux of the question here, because he's leading this entire Padayatra. What he does will really send out a message to the rest of you.
No, I think insofar as Mr. Shivakumar is concerned, I'm not sure, but I think he's already been tested and he has tested negative.
He's already been tested and he's tested negative. But to the media, he said, I will not test.
No, we don't have to see. There is not only governmental testing. There are private tests also which are done. Right? So it need not be only Mr. Bommai who gets Mr. Shivakumar to get a test. Mr. Shivakumar can as well get a test himself. He has several doctors.
Yeah, it'll be great if he sends out that message of a negative report to the media too. Just like how we're reporting this, we'll report that. At least it'll be people who are, rallying with him in that protest will feel safe and satisfied to carry on with that protest. But Mr. Kalappa, cases in Karnataka is on the rise, just like the rest of India. We're looking at a spike, serious spike in cases, 170,000 cases as of today in the country. Will you still carry forward your Padayatra while we're seeing this spike in cases? It's for the next 7 days that you're going to go on with this, with huge crowds.
No, first is, Nabila, that as far as the Padayatra is concerned, that is to provide safe and good drinking water for the citizens of Bengaluru. I think it's a very important exercise. One. Two is that as far as the Congress party is concerned, we'd already invited the JDS and the BJP to participate in our Padayatra. They didn't come. So ultimately, we have to fulfill the interest of the people of Karnataka. And this is not with a section, some kind of a motive that we are doing all of this. Insofar as the Padayatra is concerned, it's something which is very important for the people of Karnataka. And we will certainly undertake our solemn duty that we have towards the people of Karnataka.
Well, Mr. Kalappa, here an FIR has been filed against DK Shivakumar and 40 others. Your take on that?
Yeah, it was expected that there would be FIRs. It was expected that there would be arrests. But you don't see, on the other hand, any arrests or any FIRs against Mr. Guttedar, against Mr. Renukacharya or Mr. Janardhan Reddy. So what does this tell the public? What does this tell you?
Well, unfortunately, Vivek Reddy's internet connection is very patchy. We haven't been able to connect him. But Mr. Kalappa, thank you very much for joining us on this. Certainly, DK Shivakumar now will have a lot of questions to answer. He's carrying on with his rally amid a spike in COVID cases, even in Karnataka. Unfortunately, he seems unapologetic. Now, concern over rising COVID cases among children only growing. India Today has now learned that as many as 31 children in the national capital itself, in Delhi, have been admitted to hospitals after being infected with COVID. Doctors now claim that kids are indeed vulnerable to the infection from the Omicron variant, which is anything but mild. Here's more on that.
With the rise in Omicron variant cases in India, more children are being hospitalized. According to sources in the Indian Academy of Pediatrics, 31 children are hospitalized in Delhi, all below 15 years. 9 are admitted in private hospitals. Most have existing comorbidities apart from COVID-19. Symptoms include high fever and throat pain. Those admitted report breathing difficulty with high fever. 8 children reported seizures, 2 have low blood pressure. Sources at Delhi's Chacha Nehru Bal Chikitsalaya, a prominent child specialty government hospital, said 2 children aged less than 2 years were admitted as COVID patients, and daily 4 to 5 pediatric cases are coming to OPD. Hospitalization documents accessed by India Today reveal that at one government children's hospital, children below 5 years also had to be hospitalized. Doctors, however, assure that hospital stay is brief and results in quick recovery. They say hospital admission numbers are not high and advise caution.
A few patients, they admitted because of the difficulty in breathing. Mostly it is because of the involvement of this infection of this voice box, what we call the laryngotrachobronchitis group in the medical term. And they also recovered with like simple treatment like nebulization with some medications. And they also get home quickly discharged from the hospital in 2 to 3 days. But most of the time we are treating on the OPD basis or doing some video consultation.
Special arrangements for parents and child to stay together have been made at Madhukar Rainbow Hospital. So families feel no cause of concern about child safety. In Karnataka, where numbers are surging, doctors say most cases are treated at the OPD level.
In the OPD, I have seen about 15 children. All of them have been safely managed at home. Most of them are already entering into their second week and doing well. The common symptoms we see, just like any other viral infection, in fact, like in the first and the second wave, is fever. Ours being a referral center, we have admitted 5 children with COVID. Now, the reason for admission is not because they had severe illness, but because the COVID was associated with other problems, which could have come with any other infection.
Parents are worried as global data suggests surge in child hospitalizations.
He went for his first jab and he went to the vaccination center nearby. So the child came back, he was fine and he had a little pain in his arm, which was expected. For 2 days he was fine, and on the on the third day night, he had this high fever, and the next morning we got him tested, the RT-PCR test, and the child came positive. He had a heavy chest, like he was feeling heaviness in his chest and sore throat.
While doctors assure that COVID leads to mild disease among children, the fear is that as the third wave numbers surge, more children might need hospitalization. With Pooja Shali, Milan Sharma, Shushant Mehra in Delhi and Nolan Pinto in Bangalore, Bureau Report, India Today.
And for more information on that, you could log on to indiatoday.in. You could also download our app for more. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Rahul Kawal up next.